Making a hand off Coleman, goes back to pass, throws long. Down to the left side to Zeno. Coleman, Zeno has it down the far side. He goes to the 2-yard line, and he's pulled down to 2. Great catch by Coleman Zeno.
Well, hello! Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video, and welcome to the Gridiron. And before I get started, I just want to say thank you so much, everyone out there who's been watching my videos. Thank you. If you can maybe give this video a thumbs up or leave a comment below, possibly even share this video, it would mean so much to me. But at least anyway, just thank you so much for just taking time out of your day to check out this video. Thank you. Well, this is the 5th time it's happened in the history of the Giants. Right? This year is the 5th time that the Giants have lost 5 consecutive games, all by double digits. Now, I mean, there's been other times where they've lost 5 games, 5 games in a row that they've lost have been by double digits. But, I mean, they'd have like 2 or 3 losses by double digits and then a win and then another 2 losses by double. No, I mean, 5 consecutive games where they've lost the games by double digits. They've never, since 1925, so it's been a while, never have had a season where they lost 6 consecutive games by double digits. So, a little pressure this weekend. Now, they've had, throughout the course of their history, the Giants, they've had many 5-game losing streaks. 1928 was their first 5-game losing streak. They had 1971. So went a little while there. Right? We went from 1928 to 1971. 1975, they had a 5-game losing streak. 1979, 1987, they had a 5-game losing streak. 1992, they had a 5-game losing streak. 2017 was so special. How special was it? 2017 was so special. They had 2 5-game losing streaks in the same season. Oh, man, it doesn't get any better than that. Way to go, Ben McAdoo. And 2018, we had a 5-game losing streak. 2020, we had a 5-game losing streak. And this year, we had a 5-game losing streak. So, Joe Judge has got back-to-back 5-game losing streak seasons. But we ain't stopping there. I mean, we've had far worse losing streaks than that. 1974, we had a 6-game losing streak. 1978, we had a 6-game losing streak. In 2013, we had a 6-game losing streak. But it gets even better. 1947, we had a 7-game losing streak. 1969, we had a 7-game losing streak. 1973, we had a 7-game losing streak. 1994, 7-game losing streak. And 2014, we had a 7-game losing streak. But wait! It gets even a little bit better. 1966, quite possibly the worst year in the history of the New York Football Giants. They were 1-12-1. They had an 8-game losing streak. 1980, we had an 8-game losing streak. 2003, we had an 8-game losing streak. In 2004, we had an 8-game losing streak. Now, what made 1980 losing streak so special? It probably gave us 2 Super Bowls. 2003, what that 8-game losing streak made it so special is it probably gave us 2 Super Bowls. 1980, we had the 8-game losing streak. Our record was so bad, we got to pick number 2 in 1981, which allowed us to draft Lawrence Taylor. 2003, that 8-game losing streak made us so bad that in 2004 we got to draft, well, we didn't draft, but we drafted Phillip Rivers and traded him for Eli Manning, which gave us 2 Super Bowls. Anyway, but it gets even better than that. The best of the best of the best of the best. 1976 had a 9-game losing streak. And 2019 we had a 9-game losing streak. So we've had our fair share. Now, what they've talked about in the, a lot of comparisons, from like the 70s and like the last 10 years or so, whatever. I mean, it's like the 60s, the late 60s, and the 70s, up to like 1980, was really far and away, the worst. But, I mean, thanks to Judge and thanks to McAdoo and Shermer and all and everything, these last 10 years are really, really giving the late 60s and 70s a run for their money. So 1969, we had a 7-game losing streak. 1971, we had a 5-game losing streak. 1973, we had a 7-game losing streak. 1974, the very next season, we had a 6-game losing streak. 1975, the season right after that, we had a 5-game losing streak. 1976, the year right after that, we had a 9-game losing streak. 1978, 2 years later, we had a 6-game losing streak. 1979, we had a 5-game losing streak. And the next year, 1980, we had an 8-game losing streak. Whew, from 69 to 80. Boy, I'll tell you, that's some impressive losing streaks. But, I mean, I said from 2013 to this year, they're starting to give them a run for the money. 2013, we had a 6-game losing streak. 2014, we had a 7-game losing streak. Then we jumped 2 years. 2017, we had the 2 5-game losing streaks. 2018, we had a 5. 2019, we had a... How's that work out? 2019, we had a 9. 9-game losing streak. And in 2020, we had a 5. In 2021, we had a 5. So, I mean, you can kind of see how from 2013 to 2021 is very, comparable to, like, the late 60s to, like, 1980. So, I mean, they're starting to run neck and neck as far as how absolutely, unbelievably freaking pathetic those decades were right there. But the last 2 times that it happened, that the coaches had 5-game losing streaks, consecutive games with double-digit losses, those coaches got fired. Now, the first time it happened was in 1947. Okay, head coach was Steve Owen. He's been with the Giants. He was the coach for them. I believe it was like 24 years, from 1930 to 1953. Back then, I mean, if you were the coach and you've been coaching them for a while, I mean, it's not like the way it is now. I mean, if you don't put up a winner within the second year or so, they're firing you. That's not the way it was back then. But Steve Owen, he holds the all-time record for most wins for a Giants coach at 153. It was 153, 100, and he had 17 ties during that time period too. But I mean, 1947, we were 2, 8, and 2. Now we wind up losing. We lost 7 games in a row. All right, but only 5 of those games in a row we had double-digit losses. The first game we lost to the Eagles. All these streaks include the Eagles. They would all include the Cowboys too, but the Cowboys weren't around in 1947. But we lost to the Eagles 23-0. Then we lost to the Redskins 28-20, so we only lost by 8 there. Then we lost the next 5 games by double digits. We lost to the Boston Yanks, 14-0. We lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers 38-21. We lost to the Lions 35-7. Then we lost once again to the Eagles 41-24, and then we lost to the Steelers 24-7. So out of that 7-game stretch right there, the last 5, we lost all by double digits. So that was the first time that happened for the Giants. Now, as I said, Steve Owen, he didn't get fired. That was 1947. He coached until 1953, and Jim Lee Howell took over in 1954. So nothing happened to Steve Owen. The next time it happened, we will have to fly into the future all the way till 1980. All right. This was the second time it happened. And Ray Perkins didn't get fired. 1980, the Giants were 4-12. George Young hired Ray Perkins. All right. So Ray Perkins' first year, the Giants, and they were bad. There was nothing to be expected, much to be expected from them. They were 6-10. I said that's very acceptable for a first year. The team stinks. Very acceptable, 6-10. You got 6-10. You start building through the draft, and then maybe you go, whatever, 7-9, and then 8-8, and then you just start building through the draft. So, but the problem is that in 1979 it was 6-10. The next year, in 1980, they went to 4-8. Ew. So they lost 8 games in a row. They won the first game. They lost the next 8 after that. They started the season off good, then they lost 8 games in a row. So, but I said, the thing is that what made that season so good for the Giants anyway is that they went up so bad, they got to pick number 2 in 1981. They got to draft Lawrence Taylor, which helped the 2 Super Bowl victories, but also helped Ray Perkins keep his job because, if he went 6-10, if he went 4-12, if he picked somebody else in the draft in '81 who wasn't Lawrence Taylor, and he didn't really help the team out, and they were still floundering around like 5-11 or something like that, I'm sure he probably would have been gone. But because of Lawrence Taylor, because of this 8-game losing streak that they had, all right, 5 of the games in a row were by double digits. They got to draft Lawrence Taylor, helped the defense out, helped the Giants become 9-7 in 1881, and helped them get to the playoffs for the first time since 1963. But anyway, so in 1980, the Giants lost to the Redskins 23-21. Then they lost to the Eagles 35-3. Then they lost to the Rams 28-7. They lost to the Cowboys 24-3. They lost to the Eagles 31-16. Then they lost to the Chargers 44-7. Then the next game they lost to the Broncos 14-9. So the first game of the losing streak they lost by 2. The 7th game of the losing streak they lost by 5. So the 5 games in the middle is where they lost by double digits. The one game against the Chargers was probably the most embarrassing, one of the most I can possibly think of, because that was the first time in NFL history that the 3 natural wide receivers, back then, the 2 wide receivers and the tight end. Now it's like you got all kinds of funky formations and everything, but back then the true wide receivers, the 2 wide receivers and the 1 tight end, all went over 100 yards receiving. John Jefferson, Charlie Joyner, and Kellen Winslow all 3 receivers had over 100 yards receiving. It was a freaking absolute. It was a joke. It was so embarrassing to watch. The Chargers were just walking up and down the field. We lost 44-7. Said then we lost the last game of that streak to the Bucks, but we lost 5 games in a row there in that streak. But I said George Young, because he hired Ray Perkins, he gave him probably 1 more season, and he turned it around because of Lawrence Taylor, and that's why he didn't get fired there. But the next guy, the 3rd time it happened, in Giants history, lost 5 games in a row, was to Ray Handley, and he got fired. Thank you, God. His first season, he took over in 1991. 1990, we were 13-3. We won the Super Bowl. 1991, we went from a 13-3 team to 8-8. Not looking too good. So in Ray Handley's second season, we go to 6-10, and he got fired. Now we had a 5-game losing streak in there. All right, all by double digits. We lost to the Broncos 27-13. We lost to the Eagles 47-34. I said the Eagles are in every one of these streaks. Every one of these streaks, the Eagles are in. We lost to the Cowboys 30-3. We lost to the Redskins 28-10, and we lost to the Cardinals 19-0. Now the thing with Handley, he was supposed to be very good offensively and all of that. He was the offensive backs coach with Bill Parcells, and for some reason they chose him as to be the next coach. But he was just not good. During this little streak here, the game before this 5-game losing streak, the Giants somehow beat the Packers 27-7. Giants got 9 first downs the whole game. Somehow they scored 27 points. Then to start the streak off, they lost to the Broncos. They lost 27-13. They had 10 first downs. Then in there, they lost 30-3 to the Cowboys. They had 12 first downs. Then the next game, they lost to the Redskins 28-10. They got 10 first downs. Then to finish the streak off, they lost 19-0 to the Cardinals, and Giants had a grand total of 8 first downs. So they were just struggling big time. So 6-10 record. You got that big losing streak in there. Get out of here, Ray Handley. The next time it wound up happening is kind of sad. It was when Jim Fossil was in there. Jim Fossil took over in 1997. He coached until 2003. So the 2003 is when we had the 4th time. Giants lost 5 games in a row, all by double digits. They started 2-1. They lost 11 out of the last 13 games. They lost their last 8 games, and they just spiraled out of control. And they had a bunch of injuries. I remember this. This was really hard to watch. I had the Sunday ticket, DirecTV, the DirecTV Sunday ticket back then. Had it ever since 2000. But I remember watching these games, and it was just unbelievable. You think the offense was bad now? It was just as bad back then. The Giants lost to the Falcons 27-7. They lost to the Eagles once again 28-10. They lost to the Bucks 19-13. So that was only 6-point loss right there. Then they lost the next 5 games all by double digits. They lost to the Bills 24-7. 4 games in a row, the Giants had single digits of points, 24-7 to the Bills. Then they lost to the Redskins 20-7. Then they lost to the Saints 45-7. Then they lost to the Cowboys 19-3. It was, oh my God. Then the last game of the season, they actually scored some points, but they lost 37-24 to the Panthers, and there was a little bit of controversy, but I said there's a lot of injuries. I said, the last 8 games of the season, we lost in a row. Things were just spiraling out of control. We had no offense. It was hard to watch and all that. 2002, we made the playoffs. 2003, we had this absolutely horrible season with all these injuries, and Jim Fossil wound up going bye-bye. But if it wasn't because of this 8-game losing streak, we wouldn't have drafted where we drafted in 2004, and we're not allowed to draft Phillip Rivers, which we traded for Eli Manning, which helped us get the next 2 Super Bowls. So, there's a little ray of sunshine in there, right? So now this is the 5th time it's ever happened, right? Obviously, the Giants were 4-12, kind of possibly staring 4-13, right in the face there. We were 6-10 last year, so far Judge is 10-22 after 2 seasons. Lose this one, we're 10-23. Now, of course, we lost to the Dolphins 20-9. We lost to the Chargers 37-21. We lost to the Cowboys 21-6. Of course, we got to have the Eagles in there. We lost to the Eagles 34-10. We lost to the Bears 29-3. So 5 games in a row. We were all 5 games in a row. We lost all by double digits. So, and what's going to maybe signal the end for Joe Judge? I don't know. Is that 11-minute, 50-second rant that he had after the game on the Bears on Sunday? I don't know exactly where the hell that came from. Sometimes you just need to keep your mouth frickin' shut. I mean, the guy asked something like, it's hard to hear the guy. He was like in the background, but it was like kind of like something, what makes you think you can kind of turn this thing all around and all? And I mean, usually Joe Judge is like, we got a nice core, we got a good foundation, we got a guy who's believing in the system, we got a good foundation, we're gonna start building off of that, and we think with the draft coming up and all and everything, we just add a few more pieces in there. We think we're going to be fine, and he could just left it at that. And I think it was only like 1 or 2 more questions. I think it was maybe that guy, maybe 1 more question, and that could have been. And he could have walked out with a 15-second answer, 20-second answer, like the way he usually does. I got to look at the tape. I'm not going to make any assessments right now. I need to look at the tape. I don't want to give a broad picture. I don't want to put no words in nobody's mouth. I don't want to speak for anybody. He's got these things just raps off the end of his tongue. Bam, 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 bam. Question like that. I mean, as I said, we got the foundation. We got some good guys. We got them believing in the system. We got the Next question. 11 minutes and 50 seconds. He started off with the first minute, a couple minutes or so. Okay. Then he started going off on, this ain't no clown organization, a clown show or something. I don't know where he got that from, unless he's like looking at pictures on YouTube and stuff like that. Because people putting clown outfits on him and Gettleman and all. Then he started talking about Pat Shurmur, but he said he came in, the guys that were here before, I sat down and talked to him and said, yeah, guys are tapping out before the season's over with. Got golf clubs and vacations planned and all that. And Pat Shurmur says, yeah, no, that's not really true. Giants won 2 out of the last 3, I think. Pat Shurmur's last, so I don't know. But, I mean, that didn't, that wasn't sounding too good, I'm sure, to Pat Shurmur. Then, of course, maybe the, fist fights on the sideline. So we got Ron Rivera dragging into this here, talking about that. I mean, sometimes, dude, you just need to shut up. Now, Ron Rivera is a very good coach. Doesn't necessarily do a lot of that, but I can almost guarantee you one thing, is that after listening to, what Joe Judge has to say, says sometimes, dude, shut your frickin' mouth. And so what could have just doomed him in was that 11-minute, 50-second rant. And if you got 5 losses in a row, all by double digits, and now you just pissed off the coach of the team that you're going to play for the 6th game in a row, you got a team that's all banged up, you got 3rd and 4th string quarterbacks in there playing. Ron Rivera, he's got it right here. He's taking notes. He may not be saying nothing to you, but he's taking notes. And I can promise you this: before the game starts, Ron Rivera is going to have his team all fired up to play. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if Washington comes in and kicks the Giants' butt. And another thing I wouldn't be surprised of is if this is the 6th game in a row that the New York Giants lose by double digits, which will be the first time in the history of the New York Giants. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo! Woo!